Squid Game Season 3 just got released, and in this video we're going to recreate the intro title animation using After Effects. So let's just dive in. So this is the final look that we are going for. We are going to make this animation and we are going to make the whole environment setup. So to do that, let's take a new comp. Let's rename it to Squid logo. So first things first, we will need the resources. I have already downloaded a black road texture, some rustic rough metallic texture, and an overlay. You will find the resource link in the description. So let's import them and let's put it here. We need to scale it down. Let's scale it down. Now let's add a solid layer underneath. Let's reduce the opacity and also let's add a lumetri color. Let's add some vignette here. Okay, let's make it -3. Let's reduce the midpoint. We can give it somewhat 35. So now we are going to write the text. Let's write Squid Game. We will also need a font, which is Game of Squids. You can find this font online. You can just Google it. It's a free font. And let's make it white. So now what we're going to do, we are going to create shape from text to do the animation. Let's select this and let's bring them here. Let's log this for now because we don't want to select them. So let's do some modification in the text. Let's make this longer and also let's bring this up. Let's do the same for I. Also let's do the same for the M. And for the E, we need to make this shape. Okay, this should work. And for the G, let's bring them here. Yes, this should work. And let's bring this a bit. Okay, so we got our base shape. Now let's make the inner shape. Let's take a circle here. Let's bring it down. And to get the color codes, I'm going to use a website called Adobe Color. So let's select extract themes now. So I have imported the image. So from here we can select the colors. Let's take this color. I think this should work. Let's copy it and let's paste it in the fill option. I think we can increase the saturation a little bit. Okay, this should work. Now let's add the triangle. Let's take the star tool, scroll down to reduce the polygon count, and let's bring it down. This should work. Let's keep the stroke 0. Also let's keep the stroke 0 for the circle. And now let's take a square. Let's make it here. Okay. Also let's add a 3 here. Let's write 3. Okay, we are going to also create a shape from here. Let's bring them down as we don't need them for now. Now let's select them and bring them closer. We can adjust the angle to match it with this. Also let's do this here. Let's bring them a little bit back. I think we can match the angle with this also. Okay, so our base logo is ready. Now we are going to do the animation. So it's a little bit trickier because as we are working with fill layers, we can't directly apply the trim path. So we need to do some manual adjustment. For now, let's also bring this 3 to here because we want to keep them in a single layer. Okay, now we got everything in single layer. Let's delete it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make some custom shape to trace all of these shapes. So let's go to the pen tool and what we're going to do is we're going to draw a rough outline of each letter. And from here, remember to disable the fill and let's increase the stroke. You need to make sure that the whole letter is covered because we are going to apply the trim path to this shape to reveal the text beneath it. Okay. So let me just show you how it will work. Let's make a mask of this. And from here, let's rename this shape one as S. And now let's add a trim path. Let's keyframe it here, and so here you can see that we got our first line animation. So we are going to repeat this process for the whole logo. Let's remove the matte for now, and now let's replicate this process for the other letters. So for the Q, I'm taking two different shapes, and let's rename it to Q1, and let's rename it to Q2. Let's rename it to I. You need to make sure that you select the starting and end point, right? So you can direct the whole animation in a certain style. So let's rename it to E2, and finally we have the 3. Okay, so we have traced the whole thing. Now let's do the trim path to all of them. For the S, we don't need this reveal because if you see the title here, you can see that the S just slides in. So I think we can remove this from the S because as we don't need this animation from here. Let's remove the trim path from the S and let's add it to Q. Let's add a keyframe at the end. Let's make it 0 in the beginning. And also let's do the track match so that we can exactly see what's happening. Another thing we can do is also copy this trim path and paste it. So you can see that it's happening in this way, but for the Q, we need to start the circle from here. So let's edit the offset and also adjust the keyframe because we want to start it when it touches here. So let's bring it here. Okay. Also, I think we can adjust the later portion of this Q. We can add a keyframe here, and then we will hold it till here, and then when it comes closer, then it will reveal the other portion. So now let's repeat it for U also. Let's add a trim path to U also. Trim path, let's bring it up to U. Okay, I think we can copy and paste this trim path to every letter as we will be animating them. From here, what we can do is let's copy this from here and let's paste it to every other element till 3. Press Ctrl V. So now here you can see that we got a trim path for each letter separately. So yes, now let's animate the U. Let's make an end position here. Okay, and let's make it 0 here. Now let's just duplicate it for the whole thing and we will fine tune it afterwards. So yeah. Okay, here you can see that we already got this animation. So you can see how overlapping here because we want to start it after it ends. So let's bring the G forward. So it ends here. And then let's go to the Q1 and let's bring this. We can also reduce the gap here so it becomes seamless. So now for the G, we need to make this line finish first. So let's go to G1 and let's bring it here. And G2 starts from, I think here should be good. So here you can see that this line is coming first, then it's branching out, and then it's completing the G. And for the Q, we need to also adjust the timing. So let's go down to Q. Let's bring it here, I think. Also, we can see a little overlapping here with the G. So let's go to G2 and let's bring the path a little bit down so that it doesn't overlap there. Okay, so now here you can see that's going, and now we need to adjust the Q2. I think it should start when it touches it. So let's bring them a little bit closer. Let's delete it. Okay, so now for the eye, if you look at the eye here, you can see that it comes down totally. So if we pause here, you can see that it comes down. So now what we need to do is we need to fix the I and M so that it starts from the out of the frame and then comes inside and stops. So yeah, let's do it for the I first, and let's go to I. And here we need to adjust the path. I think we can keep it here, and then after adding a keyframe here, let's bring down here. Let's also align it with the D. Okay, so it should work. So here you can see that eye is coming down from there. And also what we can do is let's bring it here. Let's do the same for the M. Let's go to M layer. And let's also add a keyframe in the path. Let's bring it here. And let's also bring it up here. Let's take a margin to make a proper alignment. Okay, so this should work. We can do another thing. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So let's go to our main shape. Let's go to E. Let's extrude this a little bit. Okay, so now if you come to the stroke layer, let's edit the E2 here, and also let's bring the tree a bit far from this. Okay, now let's also adjust it from the stroke layer. Let's come to E2 and make just a little bit. Also here it's happening because it's overlapping with the tree. So let's reduce this to get rid of that overlapping. And this should solve it. And for the S, let's animate the position here. Let's go to transform, position. And let's also edit the stroke here from here, because without the stroke it won't be visible. So let's do the same for here also. Okay, so we are pretty much done with the base animation. Now let's animate the shapes. Okay, let's bring this inside this layer and let's delete this. Okay, so now we have all the shapes in same layer. So now we are going to edit the position and scale for each element. Now let's press U to only see those properties, and let's also enable the safe margin to see what we're doing. First, let's select the triangle. Let's make it a little bit bigger and let's bring it to the middle. Now let's do the same for the eclipse. Let's make it 3.5 and let's bring it here. Also, let's do the same for the rectangle, 1.35. And for this, what we can do is let's make it a square at the beginning. And let's bring it here. I think we can increase the scale of the eclipse a little bit. Okay, so now we have an overlapping animation. To fix it, what we can do, let's bring them here and let's reduce it a little bit. Let's make them easy ease. Okay, let's expand them till here. And also for the S, what we can do is let's bring it out of the frame. Okay, so here you can see that we got our base animation. So now let's add the details and set up the overall thematic. Let's pre-comb this tree to logo animation. Let's add the roughness metallic on top of it. Let's add a tritone effect. Let's make it black. And let's adjust the position to here. Okay, this should work. And now let's add levels. Let's make it brighter. Also, let's adjust it a bit. Okay, now let's track mate it with the logo animation. Now let's set up the blending mode to multiply and let's enable this layer. So we got this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's also do another pre-comp. Let's make it pre-comp. Okay, now inside it, what we're going to do is let's add a adjustment layer. So now let's take a rectangle shape and let's make the fill to gradient. Okay, so from here what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the gradient. We're going to add another point here, make it black and make this one white. Okay, and from here let's rotate it 90 degrees. Let's adjust the shape, and from here we are going to edit the gradient. So let's go to gradient fill. Let's bring the endpoint here and let's bring the start point here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it under the adjustment layer, and in the adjustment layer we're going to add a camera lens blur. Let's hide it, and from the blur map let's select the shape layer 1 and let's make it 15. Okay, I think we can also bring the background here. Let's also bring the background inside the pre-comp. Okay, so now you can see that we got that gradient look. And here let's delete this, we don't need them for now. And I think we can adjust the gradient a little bit more. Let's go to the gradient fill. Let's bring that down a little bit. Okay, this should work. Let's hide it for now. So here you can see that we got this look, and inside it let's add another text which says a Netflix series, and let's make this font Roboto bold. Yes, this should work. And let's make this red. So here what we're going to do is we're going to add an animation. Let's add opacity, and in the animator let's add a selector said wiggly. So from the wiggle selector, let's add a keyframe in max amount and also in minimum amount. Let's make it 100 at the beginning, then it will reveal, and then let's make it minus 100 here. So we will have this animation. You can also adjust it a bit. Let's bring it closer. Okay. And I think from here we can adjust the gradient a bit so that we can see the logo. Let's just upscale it and bring it up, and let's hide it. So now here you can see that we got this look, and I think we can make it more darker. Let's set the exposure to -3. So yes, we got this more dark look. So now what we're going to do is let's add a glow effect here, and I think we can adjust it a bit. Let's make it 25, and this should work. And I think we can also adjust the roughness a bit. Let's reduce the opacity. So now let's convert it into a 3D layer, and let's bring up the position, scale, and orientation. Let's keyframe those, and let's bring the keyframe here, and let's tilt it at the beginning. Let's scale it upward, and let's bring it upward a little bit. Let's scale it up. Yeah, this should work. And let's reduce the tilt a bit. Okay, so now you can see that we got this animation. What we can do is let's bring it here. Let's adjust the scale here so that everything comes closer. Let's make the Bezier curve, and we got this final look. And also let's add an overlay. Let's bring it here. Let's set the blending mode to screen, and let's add a tritone effect. Let's make it this color, and also let's make it a darker shade of this. Okay, this should work. Okay, so now you can see that we have finally got this animation. If you want, you can do some fine tuning in the curvature and the overall look. By using this technique, you can also animate your own titles in this theme. Thank you so much for staying till the end. If it was helpful, feel free to give a like because it really helps in the YouTube algorithm. And if you have any kind of confusion, feel free to comment below. And also, if you want to have a more personalized interaction, feel free to join the Discord server. It's totally free. And finally, if you're someone who is just getting started into the creative industry and want to learn how you can boost your efficiency with the help of AI, you can check out this video where I have shown you a proven workflow that our team used to boost their efficiency with the help of AI. And also, if you want to see a Blender tutorial, here's a video for you. And if you want to see another After Effects tutorial, here's a video for you. And I will see you there. Ta-da!